Okay, I think I got everything set here. That's turned off. Now, that's off, that's off, that's on. This stream seems to be live. And I'm taking it. Let's go. Hello! Shadowcat back with Magic the Gathering. Yes, last time we were here, we finished up all the different creature types, and we can go over those again if we want to go over that. I mean, I guess we can. We don't have to, though. But here, now we're back here today. We're not going over any big lists. Okay, we did spell abilities. That was long. We did all the creature types. That took a really long time, too. And now we actually get to go back and work on some other stuff. I have a lot of things on the menu today. My head's kind of all over the place. I'm going to go back and I'm going to revisit the spell system because I got to make a change there. Need to go back and actually work on the Planeswalker class for a bit as we work out one piece at a time exactly what they're doing. I have a new mechanic that I'm going to introduce into the system, and we may talk about some other stuff as well while we're here. So yeah, we have a lot to get to, and I'm going to go ahead and just get into it. So yeah, we'll do it. Anyway, looking at the chat, first thing, JP is in. Hello, JP. Good to see you. I see that Blue Star is in. Hello, Blizz. Good to see you, too. JP says, power transformer behind my neighbor's house just blew up. Scared the crap out of me. Power's going to be out for a while. You know what? I actually had that happen to me once, too. Where I live, we have a great big, like, community-wide yard sale kind of thing. It's huge. People come from all over the place to come here. And it was a couple of years back, and everyone is, you know, they're going up and down the road, they're doing their shopping, and all of a sudden, bang! Just this huge explosion echoes across the entire valley. And everyone stops what they're doing, starts looking around because, you know, that's what you do in a combat situation, is you stand there and look around, make yourself an easier target. Anyway, nobody had idea what was going on, except for the fact that the power was out. Come to find out that one of the little trash cans on the side of the power pole, yeah, that blew up. So, yeah, that was fun. And I'm assuming that's going to be the same thing for you, JP. Yeah, power's going to be out for a while. Till they can get a new one of those in. So, anyway, before we get started, I have been told that I should be doing this, and I'm going to try to get better. I'm going to try. It's difficult. Change is always difficult. But before we get started, I'm going to remind people that if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that now. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, that way you get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who is also into either Pathfinder, in particular Pathfinder 1st Edition, but if they're into tabletop gaming in general, or they're into Magic the Gathering, go ahead and share this video with them because they'll probably enjoy this. Leave a like on the stream if you're enjoying it, leave a comment down below, but more importantly, come and join our Discord. I have a Discord, it's linked below. The link does work, I just had somebody new join the other day, so it is working. If you would like to play with us, join the Discord, come to the Behind the Screen channel, and let me know who you are, what your availability is, and what game that you want to play. Do that, and you can play with us. We already have a Star Trek game going on currently, and I'm always looking to add more. So, if you want to play, go do that. And without further ado, let's get into this. So the first thing that I need to do is, of course, bring up all of my resources. I'm going to need my spreadsheet. There's that. And I'm going to need my browser. There, perfect. So, doesn't really matter what's on this sheet right now. All that matters is the fact that it's here. We can use it if we need to. I may talk about this a little bit later. It's going to depend on how much we actually get done. So first things first, and I did talk about this at the end of another stream a while back, and I mentioned some of the thoughts that I was having there. And they're things that I'm going to stick with. So, one of the things that I had discussed is how there was a really big incompatibility in the way that I was running my spell casting and the way that I was, or that the Pathfinder plays. In particular, every spell is... God, how do I even want to phrase this? When you're playing as like a wizard or something, wizards, sorcerers, warlocks, and summoners even, and all your magic casters, they have to operate in the same turn economy that everyone else does. That is to say that, generally speaking, spells will fall into one of three categories. It's either going to be an instant or an immediate action, which is things like Featherfall. Like, if you're falling off a cliff, you don't really have time to do the whole casting thing, and they've taken that into account. If you're falling through the air, you can cast Featherfall as an immediate action, and you can save yourself. And that's good. Most spells, the vast majority of spells, are going to be standard actions. So, in Pathfinder, on your turn, you generally get a standard action and a move action. This means that you can move up to your normal speed, and you can take any standard action. And I wonder if I can pull that up, because I should be able to get just a list of standard actions. It's probably going to be down here in combat, because that's generally the only place where the turns really matter. Go away. Here we go. Standard actions. So, when we're talking about standard actions, attacking is generally a standard action, whether that's a melee attack, whether that's a ranged attack, or a natural attack. But that's all I've got here is the attacks. Can I not get a better, like, more comprehensive list than this? I guess not. What if I just tried doing a search? Maybe I can do a search. Standard. No, not what I want. Not what I want. Here it's got the different types of actions. Standard, move, full round, swift, immediate, and free. Here we go. Maybe this is better. Ah, yes, perfect. This is exactly the table that I wanted to find. So, your standard actions are this. Attacking, whatever attack that may be. Activate a magic item, other than a potion or oil. Aid another. Cast a spell. Generally, there are some spells that do take longer to cast. Channel energy, concentrate to maintain a spell, dismiss a spell, draw a hidden weapon, drink a potion or apply an oil, escape a grapple, perform a feint, light a torch with a tinder twig, lower spell resistance, read a scroll, ready, which usually triggers a standard action. Stabilize a dying friend, use total defense, use an extraordinary ability, use a skill that takes one action, use a spell-like ability, use a supernatural ability. So these are all things that are standard actions. And right up here is cast a spell. And there's a reason for this. Like, if you just took the brakes off of a wizard and just let them dump spells willy-nilly, well, they would be really, really overpowered. And so I've been struggling with this, because there is a, there's something that's missing here, and that is that in Magic the Gathering, once you've played enough lands, you can generally start to just drop cards. Once you have, like, it somewhere in the area of, say, 6 to 10 lands on the table, unless you have really, really big creatures, like you're playing a bruiser deck, you can play 2, maybe 3, maybe even more creatures in a turn, especially if you've got mana rocks on the field. And by mana rocks, I mean anything that you have on your field whether it be an artifact, a creature, whatever that you can tap for mana. Part of the game of Magic the Gathering is that you are not limited to the number of spells that you can play per turn. And this game currently does not reflect that, and it does so to its own detriment. As I discussed before, being limited to a single spell per turn essentially negates the entire mana system that I have here, which is not good, because I've got this mana system that's developed, and if I scroll up a little bit here so we can see our example, obviously whatever the dominant mana is, that'll be determined by map generation. They're going to get 2d6 of whatever the dominant mana there is. Everyone else gets 1d4. But what is the point, and by the way, I need to make this a 1 again. What is the point of having 12 blue mana in an area if you can only cast one spell per turn? There's literally no difference. And so I had to look at it and say, then what's the point? Because we have a map generator here, and it is important. Even if we're not utilizing it all, it is important to know what the mana content of the land is. So how do we fix this, and how do we make it so that the actual land, the mana makeup of the land matters, and we can utilize it? And the only solution that I can come to is to literally take the brakes off of a planeswalker and say, okay, we are not going to be limiting them in the same way that other casters are. This whole instant and everything else, we're going to have to go ahead and turn these into something else besides a standard action. Now, there are other actions that can be taken. This is standard actions. We also have down here move actions, fine, full actions, which is great, but I want to come down here to swift actions. The only thing they have down here as a swift action is casting a quicken spell, and I think we need to talk about a swift action. Swift actions are usually something that you can do in addition to your normal turn, and you're generally limited to one of them per turn. The difference between a swift action and an immediate action is they both occupy the same amount of time. A swift action can only be done on your turn and generally only once. An immediate action can be done at any time, still generally only once. And there's literally no attack spells that are immediate actions. That's going to change, of course, once we add planeswalkers, because they have instant spells. What I think we're going to do here is I'm going to simply remove the standard actions here. I'm going to remove this immediate action too, because it's not exactly going to be an immediate action. I need to take those off for a reason, because you need to be able to utilize the amount of mana that is in the land. This is going to change several things for our planeswalkers, and I'm going to explain why it's going to work like this in a minute. So, for starters, let's say that we have a spell like Shock or Lightning Bolt. I'm going to go with Lightning Bolt because Lightning Bolt is basically just Shock, but better. So here's Lightning Bolt. Now, Lightning Bolt costs 1 red to play, and it does 3 damage. Now, let's keep in mind our system here for spells. When it comes to damaging spells, which is what this is, it is any spell that deals a number of damage, which describes Lightning Bolt here perfectly. It deals 3 damage to any target. So the number of dice is the converted mana cost. So when we look at this, it costs 1. So the number of dice is going to be 1. Super simple. The size of the die is going to be the damage listed. Now this is going to force us to use like virtual dice, although you can do a D3 by simply using a D6 and dividing it by half. So it's going to be 1 D3 damage, which puts it on par with things like Ray of Frost. And that's great. So, now that we've got this, what is to stop you from playing multiples of these in a single turn? Well, let's think about this. When we talk about using multiples in one turn, because if you've got the mana, let's take a look at this this land that we've got here. We've got 4 white, 12 blue, 1 black, 4 red, and 2 green. Well, if you are a planeswalker and you're casting Lightning Bolt, you might be a level 1. So we'll just highlight this row. Your max mana is going to be 1, your spells per day is going to be 3, and your spells known is going to be 2. So you know 2 spells, and I'm going to use this as an example. You know Lightning Bolt, and you know the Raging Goblin. That Raging Goblin is going to be important in just a minute. I'll get to it. So, you know 2 spells, Lightning Bolt and Raging Goblin. Let's say that you are in this ocean biome. Okay? And it's got 4 red mana. By taking the brakes off of what you can do, I am allowing you to use all of your spells at once. You can go ahead and just blast out all 3 of your Lightning Bolts in one turn. It's a triple bolt. And in doing so, I will allow you to do 3d3 damage. Minimum of 3 damage, maximum of 9. That's not bad, especially for a level 1. However, the thing that we have to keep in mind here, and what's going to balance this out, is that you can only do it 3 times per day. You just burned up all of your spells in one shot. You now have no more Lightning Bolts, you have no more Raging Goblins. Okay, well, sucks to be you. I hope you brought a knife. So, what if we didn't do Lightning Bolts? I mean, they're cool, don't get me wrong. Lightning Bolts, very cool. What if we did Raging Goblins instead? Well, we're going to come over here to this creature thing. And Aven Fate Shaper, I'm not going to touch you, actually. Let's get rid of this Rust Goliath. Okay, get rid of the Rust Goliath. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make a Raging Goblin because I'm going to make a point here. So, name is going to be the Raging Goblin. It's a card that I know very well. It's going to be neutral. The size is going to be small. Why? Because it is a 1/1. In fact, let me go ahead and pull this up. Raging Goblin. There he is. That is not his most flattering artwork, though. There's better artwork. But anyway, here's the Raging Goblin. He's a 1/1 with haste. The type, of course, is going to be an Echo. Initiative, we'll get to that. So, obviously, we're going to come down here. We're going to do the basic stats first. First off, it's a 1/1. We're going to add 10 to each of those. He's going to have an 11 strength and 11 constitution. Next, we're going to come over to our thing over here and say, where is the goblin? Here's a goblin. What do goblins get? Plus 4 dexterity and minus 2 charisma. Okay. So it's going to be 14 dexterity. It's going to be 8 charisma. And then intelligence and wisdom will both be 10s. And I need a level for this thing. So I'm just going to roll a 1d20 over here. Yeah, 1d20. Alright, so it's going to be level 12 Raging Goblin. So, actually I don't really have a spot in here for levels yet. I should probably add that. I'll do that later. But level 12 means that the base attack bonus is just going to be a plus 12. Because that's going to be equal to the level. It makes things easy. JP says Raging Goblins equals children at Disney. I cannot disagree with that. Okay, combat maneuver bonus is base attack bonus plus strength bonus. They don't have a strength bonus, so it's just going to be plus 12. Combat maneuver defense is 10 plus base attack bonus plus strength bonus plus dexterity. So 10 plus base attack bonus is going to be 22. plus dexterity is going to be 24. So just 24. Feats we don't need to get into. Speed is going to be 30 feet. Because he's raging. The melee attack is going to be a very simple plus 12. He doesn't have a ranged attack. The melee damage. This is where things are going to be very important, and I'll explain why. The melee damage is 1d their power, because the power is the damage that they do. And then, of course, we make it into a dice to introduce variability. You know, max damage is a full-on hit. 1 damage is a glancing hit. Which means that our Raging Goblin here does 1d1. Plus his strength bonus. Which is nothing. The space is 5 foot. His reach is 5 foot. He has no special abilities, really. I mean, down here under these special abilities, we can add haste. And I know I'm down below the screen, but we put haste down there because he's got that. And so armor class is going to be a 12 because of his dexterity. His touch armor class, he's not wearing armor, so it's still going to be 12. Flat-footed will be 10 because we're taking away his dexterity. Hit points, they get 1d8. It's a d8, right? Yeah, 1d8 for every 2 levels. At level 12, that's going to be 6d8. I don't feel like really calculating that, so I'm just going to say 3d8. 6d8. Fortitude is going to be the bonus from his constitution, which is plus 0. Reflex is plus dexterity, so that's going to be plus 2. Because they don't have any good saves. Yeah, there's no good saving throws. I don't know what the base default should be for their saving throws, but for now, yeah, for now it's just gonna be that. And will save. He doesn't have a wisdom bonus, so again that's plus 0. Weaknesses, don't have to worry about it. They don't have them. This is also in addition to his wisdom. However, he does still have a couple of skills. If we go ahead and give him perception as a skill, then it'll just be a plus 12 because that's his level. So there we go. Alright, here's our Raging Goblin. Very nice Raging Goblin. He's very cute. So you can summon 3 of these. Does anybody besides me notice the very distinct problem with this guy? If you said it was the melee damage, you'd be right. He does 1d1 damage, which means he does 1 damage. Now, he is a little Raging Goblin, and he is an Echo, which means that he is not even as good as an actual flesh and blood goblin is. Nothing is at 100% when you're summoning Echoes. But he does have a plus 12 to his attack, and it is still 1 damage. If you were to summon a bunch of them, technically speaking, they could literally nibble you to death, which is what they would be doing 1 point at a time. This is another reason why taking the brakes off of the Planeswalkers makes sense. It will allow the Planeswalker to essentially flood the field with a certain number of creatures. Now, how many creatures that you can flood the field with, I'm still working on. And I am thinking of putting a limit on it, because, and I will explain why in a second, when we look at the Planeswalker and we look at a level 20 Planeswalker, a level 20 Planeswalker has 60 spells per day, representing a 60-card spell deck. That means that, technically speaking, assuming that you had the mana available, because... almost sneezed. Let's assume that the ocean that we're here, or the ocean here, is not an ocean. Let's assume that it's a mountain. And instead of it being 12 blue, we have 12 red. That means that our level 20 Planeswalker here could summon 12 goblins every turn. Now, are they any good? I don't know. Probably not. They're raging goblins. Generally speaking, they're a great first turn damage source, and after that, they're a dedicated blocker. But it also means that potentially, as we're playing the game, and anybody who has played a tabletop game before knows how this is going to work, that could potentially be 60 tokens on the field. I am strongly inclined to limit the number of creatures on the field to your level. And even then, that means that a level 20 Planeswalker could have 20 creatures on the field at one time. That's a lot. So, that's what I'm thinking there. Leaving that behind for the moment. If you were a level 20 Planeswalker and you had 20 of these Raging Goblins on the field, first off, we're using tokens in graph paper. There's only 8 squares around your target. You could essentially box your target in and then just continue to nibble away at them until they die 1 hit point at a time. And I feel like that's actually really, really good for what we're doing. This is what Planeswalkers excel at. They excel at just creating an army. Since they're all just 1/1s, big deal. Now, the only thing that really is going to be sticking here is the fact that it does have a lot of hit points. They have half of the number of hit points that any normal creature would have, I think. Since this is a level 12, Raging Goblin, we can assume our Planeswalker's level 12. So we can have 12 of these things out at one time. They have low armor class. They have a decent amount of hit points because they are just an echo. It's not like they have blood or anything. But still, that means that you're in a level 12 encounter with creatures that do 1 damage. I'm circling around this a lot because I want to just really hammer this point home that these things are kind of garbage. And letting you summon a bunch of garbage at one time is not the worst thing in the world. Planeswalkers are not going to be as overpowered as they look on paper. This is not the same as going to, say, a sorcerer and saying, yeah, you know how you can cast any spell you know and you're only limited to number of spells per day? Well, we're going to let you cast all of those spells at once. So instead of firing off just 1 magic missile per turn, which does 1d4 plus 1 damage, I'm going to let you cast all 6 of your magic missile spells at once, which you're now doing 6d4 plus 6 damage. There's a huge gulf of a difference there. So what we're going to do is we are going to limit the amount of spells that you can cast per turn to however much mana there is in the actual land. And PC Unicorn is here. Hello, PC. Good to see you here. So we're taking the brakes off that. We're going to be allowing you to cast as many spells as the land will allow. Now, this is something that you as a Planeswalker will have to keep track of. Because when we come back to the mana system here, you are going to be limited by this now. Now, all the mana refills each turn instantly. This is just like untapping your land at the end of each turn. You're only allowed to use up to this much. And this is going to make it so that the actual color makeup of the land is important. If you are that level 12 Planeswalker and you want to summon a bunch of, I don't know, birds that only cost 1, yes, you could cast 12 birds on 1 turn because you have 12 mana available. If you were that same level 12 black Planeswalker and you wanted to summon a bunch of zombies, you're screwed. There is only 1 black mana here. And so, it's not going to work. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make a note down here where we can put this in. So I'm just going to say spells. If I could type, can I type spells per turn? Limited by the mana of the land. Cast as many spells per turn as allowed. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the alignment on these. Let's see. PC Unicorn says, I still think that the attunement system would be good at a level, maybe can hold a certain amount of mana ready all the time. After that, it takes a turn to start drawing from a source around you. Like 1 land per turn, spells that allow more than 1 land per turn accelerate your draw. Okay. And I agree with you, but this is going to be kind of weird, and I need to kind of get into things that I have been learning lately. So, the lore for Magic the Gathering is not great. It's really kind of bad, and I have been trying to do my best to parse everything together. I think I mentioned it last time that I thought that I was making pre-mending planeswalkers, now making post-mending planeswalkers. But either way, none of them seem to need to hold mana inside of them. They can simply do things. And the only time that they don't seem to be able to just do things is when they're just kind of out of their element. Planeswalkers themselves do not seem to be any kind of battery. They can carry batteries on them. We would call them mana rocks, but they can't necessarily hold anything inside of themselves. They can only channel the energy around them. Now, the attunement system I think you're talking about would be upping the available mana per turn. So on the first turn, you can only grab 1 mana. On your second turn, you can now grab 2 mana. Third turn, you can grab 3, and so on. I like it. The problem here is, though, it is one more number that people have to keep track of. And I'm going to get a little offensive here. Getting players to keep track of numbers is a little like herding cats. You can try, but it never works. Getting players to keep track of even something as simple as how many arrows do you have left in your quiver is difficult, because nobody wants to actually do it. They just want to be able to say, okay, I have this many targets, I want to loose my bow at that guy over there, and roll the dice. And they do, and then me, as the GM, I get to say, you hit or you miss, and then they go, well, shucks. And then they end their turn, and they never actually mark it down. Giving the attunement system where they have to pick up one more, there's one more number they have to keep track of, I think is really a bad idea. As it is, I'm already asking them to keep track of the land, which is probably going to end in tears, honestly. PC Unicorn says, in the story for Dominaria, there's a point where Lilith is flying in weather light above a swampy area and starts to attune to it. And that's fair. That's fair. And like I said, it's a little weird because the lore is all over the place. I was asking ChatGPT for examples from the books, and apparently when they're drawing mana from things, it actually does affect the landscape. Like, trying to draw red mana out of a mountain can cause earthquakes. Trying to draw blue mana out of islands causes them to fog or haze or shimmer with illusion. There's all kinds of different effects, and it really seems to depend on who's the writer, how are they feeling in the moment. It's hard, because I would like to include these things. I really think that if I could add things into the environment where you just drawing the mana affects the environment, But already I think I'm getting a little bit too far. I think that I'm already getting to the point where there's too much stuff to keep track of, and I don't think that my players are going to handle it very well. As it is, one of the things that's on the bill is this. So per the wiki, every color embodies certain things. White embodies peace, law, structure, selflessness, equality. Blue is knowledge, deceit, caution, deliberation, perfection. I have discussed with ChatGPT at length what these things actually mean, and I've even had it run simulations as to what would happen if you were to take these things out. Like, for example, if you had a blue area, and let's say that if the mana coming through the area, if the ley lines give rise to not just the formation of the world, but also... Did I just lose my connection? Is my connection still here? Hold on a moment. There we go. Okay, everything is back. I got a message in the chat that says, chat's been disconnected. It's like, no, don't you do this to me right now. Anyway, as I was saying, I had ChatGPT running simulations where what would happen if you were to remove mana from an area if that particular mana is not just responsible for creating the environment, but for also guiding everything inside of it. A good example would be this one, green. What would happen if you were in an area, let's just say it's a plains or something, and it's only got like 2 green mana, but you use land destruction magic to remove the remaining green. So now you have an area where there's no green left, okay? It is just white, blue, black, and red. Well, if you're removing the green mana from the area, you're also going to remove these things from it. Removing the green mana means no more nature. Okay, well, that's a little bit nebulous, but when we say no more nature, essentially we're meaning no more flora. No more trees, no more plants, no more nothing like that. Wildlife. You're removing fauna from the area. Just imagine this. Imagine that you're in like a little village or something. It's a village in the middle of the plains, and some planeswalker comes through because, I don't know, they're red and they hate green things. And so they're just going through and annihilating green mana. So they come through your area, you don't even know that they were there, and they destroy the green mana. The first thing that you notice, the very first thing that you notice the next day is all the birds are gone. You go outside and it's like silent. There's not a single bird left in the area. For that matter, all the dogs that used to roam around, they're gone. Cats, gone. Vermin, they're gone. Well, actually, vermin are more of a black thing, so maybe they still stick around. So there's still like rats and bugs and things like that. But everything that's above vermin, it's gone. Maybe the cows run off. Maybe the horses run off. Every single animal that is not some kind of pest is just gone. You don't know where they went. You don't even know when they went. They just wandered off at some point and they're gone. Connection, spirituality, and tradition. People stop talking to each other. Okay, people go through the motions, but nobody cares. Spirituality, nobody shows up to the temple anymore. Nobody shares the same values anymore. Nobody cares. Tradition, same thing. You have like an annual tradition, like just to borrow from the Wheel of Time, Beltane. You have your annual Beltane celebration, which happens after the harvest has been planted. The work is done, now it's time to play. So you have Beltane, nobody shows up. Nobody decorates for it, nobody cares. And so you destroy green, and everything else is just gone with it. And JP says, okay, heading out. May as well go out for brunch now that the power is out. Well, I mean, hopefully the power's back soon, but thank you for coming by, JP. It's good to see you, and I'll see you next time. Anyway, though, you remove the green, you remove all those things, we get back to the nature part. Nobody cares anymore about each other, but they still go through the motions. The animals are already gone, so there's like no more milk, there's no more meat, there's no more anything like that. You get to your first crops, the crops never grow. You planted the seeds are dead as soon as they hit the ground. You get no wheat, you get no corn, you get no taters, you get nothing. You have killed the land. And so the mana is always there. And this is one of the reasons why I don't think you need to attune to it, because it's just there. It's not part of you, you're just reaching out with the hand of a planeswalker, grabbing the flows of the ley line and pulling it like a hose. Now, as far as like restrictions go, I'll get to that in a second. But this is why I don't think that we need to use the attunement system. Instead, what I think that we're going to be doing is I'm going to limit the amount of mana that you can use per spell. And I think that I'm going to limit that to the Planeswalker's level. So, for example, and I talked about this before, at the first level, you can only cast spells that cost 1 or less. So, I mean, that's great. You get to pick two spells, they can cost 1 or less. That's a Lightning Bolt, and that's a Raging Goblin. Cool. You have to be able to play it in order to actually pick it. This is going to work. It's just going to work. I'm just leave it at that. And I'll get to that in a bit. These spells. I need to put this down. So, like I said, spells per turn is limited by the mana of the land. You can cast as many spells per turn as allowed. Maybe I should add that. As many spells per turn as the land can afford. Maybe that's better. Okay. That will handle that. PC Unicorn says, see, I wasn't thinking they could generate as much as they could safely hold on to continuously. Again, I don't think they're holding on to it. I don't think they have the ability to hold on to it. And that's kind of what I'm operating off of here, because if they had the ability to hold on to it, then they might not necessarily need the whole mana rock thing. They could simply be the walking battery that they wanted to be. So that's what we're going to do here. And that's the okay. Got to get my thoughts straight here. I can do this. PC Unicorn says, the problem I see with your system is 1-drops become insanely powerful. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because you missed that part of the stream. I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about that briefly. You are partially right. It is a very, very good point. But it's only partially right. And the example that I gave here is this. Over here... Oh, wait, no, not that one. Here we go. Lightning Bolt. I use Lightning Bolt as an example because this is a great 1-cost damage card. This is actually comparable with the Ray of Frost, which every wizard and sorcerer can cast. The Ray of Frost deals 1d3 cold damage, and this, because it is a Lightning Bolt, because the number of dice is dictated by the mana cost, which it says right here. Number of dice is a converted mana cost. The size of the die is the damage, right here. This is going to be a 1d3. Now, if I allow them to just dump all of their spells, that means that at level 1, with 3 spells per day, they can fire off all 3 of these in 1 turn. which you're right, is significant because now you can do 3d3 in one single turn. But then you run into a different problem. That spells per day. You can only do it 3 times per day. And so you just did 3d3 damage, and now you're out of spells. That's it. You're done. The other reason why I brought up the Raging Goblin is because that is also something that you can bring up at level 1. He costs 1 to play. And I even modeled him. He's over here. This is already done. We've got the Raging Goblin right here. It's a level 12 Raging Goblin too, by the way. So technically speaking, you could drop 12 of these guys if we allow 1 creature per level. But as I pointed out before, they're going to have decent hit points at 6d8. That's going to be a minimum of 6, a maximum of 8. So that's going to be an average of about, let's see, 6 and it'll be 34. That'll be an average of about 17 hit points, give or take. 17, 18 hit points, somewhere in that area. But it does 1/1 damage. 1d1. And this is why they don't become insanely powerful. Is even if you can drop all of these 1-cost cards, you're going to burn up your spells per day very quickly. Very quickly. And for what? You could drop 12 of these 1/1 Raging Goblins that do 1d1 damage. And essentially what you got in Pathfinder is going to be the same thing that you get on the tabletop. They can't do a whole lot of damage, which means that essentially they become your dedicated blockers. Now, blocking is not a thing in Pathfinder. Not the same way that it is in Magic the Gathering. You can't tap your goblin and have it block for you. But you can use them as a natural barrier. They don't need to, air quotes, block for you when you can just summon 5 Raging Goblins and literally put them in a line in front of you. And by doing so, now nobody can actually reach you. They still function as blockers, and you can still use them for like battlefield control by dropping a whole bunch of them. Do they become insanely powerful though? Numerically, no, they do not. Again, they have 17 hit points on average. They still have only 1d1 damage. But can they be powerful? Yes, they can. Because just imagine if you could use these goblins to surround somebody and to control the movement of people. That would be incredibly powerful. Is it broken? No, it's really not. You could use them to swarm a target, sure. But I have a counter question for you. You could, at level 12, control 12 Raging Goblins. And if we go back to our mana system over here, you can only summon 4 of them on this ocean, because it's an ocean, it's not red friendly. You can summon 4 of them per turn. But would you want to? Would you want to summon a ton of 1/1 Raging Goblins when you could summon something much better? And this is going to be a player choice. You can do both. And seeing as how you get to make up your own deck, your own spell list, you can even have options. Maybe you pick up the 1/1 Raging Goblin at level 1. It's something that you can use. You can summon one of them, you can call him George, and you can go on adventures together. By the time you're level 12, you should have 24 spells within your deck. Within your spell list. You're gonna have something better. And so the choice then becomes, do I go ahead and use the Raging Goblins here and use a whole bunch of them? Do I get a better creature? Do I split the difference? do I use a variety of manas and try to make the best out of this that I can? Planeswalkers are going to be renowned for their versatility, not their power. Because a proper summoner per Pathfinder will be able to summon an Eidolon, and that Eidolon is basically going to be a second character for them. Their Eidolons are going to be bigger, stronger, tougher, maybe even smarter than they are. This is going to be the opposite. You're going to be able to summon a whole bunch of really, really weak creatures. They'll be somewhat resilient, but they're going to be really weak. And how you use them is going to be more important than what they can do. It's going to work. I promise it's going to work. So coming back to spells, spells per turn, sure. Creatures, I need to get this down as well. And I'm going to put it in here, I think. Echo type traits, no, I'm going to move all of this down. And I'm going to put in here that you can have a max number of creatures equal to your level. I'm going to put that in right now. It's on paper, so it's done. So at level 1, you can only have one Raging Goblin. Now, does that mean that you're going to spend 3 turns casting your goblins, or will you summon 1 goblin and 2 lightning bolts? I don't know. The choice is yours. Make the best of it. It also means that you'll be able to make better usage of this. If you are that level 1 Planeswalker and you know Lightning Bolt and Raging Goblin, you can spend the 3 mana here to do the 1 Goblin and 2 Lightning Bolts, and now you're out of spells. It'll take you a while before you have enough spells to really be able to just rely on being a Planeswalker, but that's the way it should be. That's the same thing that every spellcaster goes through. Wizards only get maybe a handful of spells per day, and once their spells are done, all they've got is a stick or a sling. It's just the way things happen. But okay, so that's going to handle that, I think. That solves the issue of how do we best utilize the land that we have. It solves the issue of making Planeswalkers much more versatile, much more dangerous, but at the same time not being overpowered. Because they're not overpowered. The fact is that when I look at the creatures here, and I'm going to look at some of the others here, the Aven Fate Shaper. It's a large echo, it's got some decent stats to it, it's a little bit smarter because it is a wizard, it's a little bit more agile because it is a bird. However, that melee damage is 1d4 plus 3. For some reason. They all have 14 strength, so that should actually be plus 2. There we go, 1d4 plus 2. What is 1d4 plus 2? 1d4 plus 2 is a club. It is your bog standard, I found a heavy stick on the side of the road and I hit somebody with it. When we come over here to the Goliath Spider and look at the attacks for the Goliath Spider is 1d7 plus 3. Or for the range attack, because it doesn't get a strength bonus on it, just 1d7. 1d7 is between a short bow and a longbow arrow. The only difference here is that the Planeswalker is essentially going to be getting a longbow that they can shoot autonomously. Normally, that would require you to have an enchanted weapon, but the Planeswalker can do it automatically. And so I think that's going to be fine. And this is in comparison to what other classes can do. So, technically speaking, with this this Goliath Spider, how expensive are you? The Goliath spider here costs 8 to play. That is a very expensive spider. So you can't, or you would have to be level 8 even to play it. Which means that technically speaking, if you have to be level 8, if we come back here to the Planeswalker and we look at level 8s, you can have 8, well, I need to look at that. You can have 8 spiders on the field at one time. That is the equivalent of having potentially 8 bows that are firing at one time, but you'd have to spend 8 turns summoning them. That is a lot of setup. Is it worth it? Probably. But it's a lot of setup regardless. I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to work out well. And so when it comes to spells, the next thing that I need to do is the sizing of spells. I'm going to say casting ability. Cannot cast a single spell that has a converted mana cost greater than your level. And this is one that I thought of extensively, because I thought, how am I going to limit this? Because I do not want to just straight up tell my players, no, you can't have a creature. And if I limit to where you can't even learn a spell that is above your level, I feel like that's not entirely fair. And the reason I say it's not entirely fair is because if you wanted to be the kind of player who picks up a bunch of really high-level spells at the expense of having spells that you can use now, I feel like I should not prevent you from sacrificing now to benefit later. I like the idea of sacrificing now to benefit later. I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that's been drastically lost in modern generations. But what I will do is I will say that you cannot cast a single spell that has a greater converted mana cost than your level. And I chose these words very, very specifically. And the reason is the, I believe it's called the Rust Goliath. Yes, that's the guy that I wanted. I bring this guy up for a very, very specific reason. And this guy is pretty much the pinnacle. I went through the Magic the Gathering card finder, and I said, my players will be able to pick any common cards that they want, okay? You are limited on level up to picking common cards. If you want uncommon cards, you will have opportunities. But for right now, this is, as far as I know, the most expensive common creature card. And it comes at the mana cost of 10. Now, at the mana cost of 10, that means that you could not cast this thing until you were level 10, because that's the only way you'd be able to hold enough mana to do so. You can't cast any single spell that costs more than your level. But it has Prototype. And because it has Prototype, you can bring it in as a 3/5 and it only costs you 5 to play it. I do not want to deny my players the ability to do that. I think that you as a player should be able to get this card anytime that you want. If you decide at level 1 that you want to get a Rust Goliath, let's say you were fleeing from your home plane, and because your village was actually being destroyed by a Rust Goliath, you saw this hulking monstrosity. It's burned into your memory. Well, this is how echoes work. You can summon an echo of anything that you've seen before, but only if you can actually put it together. So at level 1, you don't have the ability or the power to summon an echo of this thing. At level 5, you can summon a prototype version of it. It's a lesser version. And so if you picked it at level 1, it's just sitting there. At level 5, you finally get to utilize a lesser version. And then at level 10, you can utilize the full version. And I think this is a tremendous idea. It also means that because the prototype costs 5, once you reach level 11, and you can use all this mana, you can summon 2 of these things in one turn. Well, actually, no, you could do that before. You can't summon any one creature. So I guess what I need to correct myself on is that at level 5, you can start summoning these things. And technically speaking, so long as the land will support it, you could summon as many as you wanted. If I come back to my example land, let's see. There's only 2 green mana here. The prototype for this Rust Goliath costs 2 green plus 3. So even if you could, even though there's lots of mana there, it's not going to work. I mean, I could generate another one. Let's generate a forest. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Example land, I'm just going to call this one a forest. Because I got forest up here. Let's go ahead and delete that. We'll start with the top ones. So we'll come over here and just roll 4d4. It's going to be 2, 4, 3, 1. Nice spread. 2, 4, 3, 3, 1. And then I need 2d6 for the forest. 6. Okay, so there's our forest. Quick and easy. So what if you had picked up this Rust Goliath and you're level 5 now? Well, you've got enough green mana here to summon 3 of them, excuse me. However, in addition to that, because it is a Rust Goliath, this prototype, it needs 3 mana each. Do we have 9 mana here? Well, 4 is 4, 2 is 6, and then the black makes 9. So technically speaking, you could tap pretty much everything from the land this turn, and you could summon 3 of the prototype Rust Goliaths. And 3 of these prototype Rust Goliaths doesn't even match the power of a single full Rust Goliath. You can still summon a bunch of them, but summoning the actual version is still better. I do believe that the system is going to balance itself. And so this is going to work out well. So there's rules for spells. There's rules for our creatures, where you can only have a number of creatures equal to your max level. And I think we're good. Is there anything else off the top of my head for spell system? I don't think so. One thing that I probably should add is that an instant can be cast anytime and immediate action could be done. And the sorcery can be cast anytime a standard action could be done. Okay, that is going to be kind of important just so that it's not left blank. We have a full definition there for that. Okay, and since it is the top of the hour and I am trying to be better about this, I just want to tell everyone that if you're here and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon that we get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who is also into Pathfinder or Magic the Gathering, tabletop gaming, card games, whatever, If you think they would enjoy this, then share this video with them. But if you just like what's going on here, you like me, you like the stream, you like what we're doing, then leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below. If you want to play with us, however, there should be a link down there. In fact, I know there's a link down there for the Discord server. Come join the Discord server. Come join us. And when you do, go to the Behind the Screen channel. When you go to the Behind the Screen channel, let me know who you are. Let me know what games you would like to play. And let me know what your availability is. As soon as I have enough people together for a single game, I will begin putting it together. We already have a Star Trek game going on, and you can ask the players there how much time and effort I put into these games. It's worth your time. So, I hope that you'll come and join us so that we can all play together. It'll be fun. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, back to this. So the next thing that I want to cover before I forget anything, because like I said, juggling a lot of things here, is color identity. Now, color identity is something that I had brought up before. I had brought it up because it seemed to make sense to me at the time, and I still believe that it I still believe that it's important. And in discussing things with ChatGPT, learning more about the lore of Magic the Gathering, I believe I have evidence to prove that. And PC Unicorn says, Pied Piper with Emrakul seen? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I do have an Emrakul built. It was over here in the creatures. I have a list here for Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. Is that what we're talking about? I'm not sure if that's what we're talking about. I'm guessing here. I really have no idea. Anyway, though, getting back to the Planeswalkers. Color identity. I had said before that I believe that Planeswalkers should have a color identity. And I received some pushback from the chat on that one saying that if you enforce a color identity, you essentially eliminate the idea of a rainbow deck. And to be absolutely fair, they were right. Okay? I would be removing the ability to have a rainbow deck. And PC Unicorn says level 4 can summon Emrakul. Okay, I'll get back to color identity in a minute because I do have an answer for that. And I will explain that in just a moment. Emrakul. So, this Emrakul costs... Oh, it's the Aura of Emrakul. Never mind. The Boon of Emrakul. Creatures. Eldrazi Werewolf? What the hell is that? Conduit of Storms and the Conduit of Emrakul. Okay, so this is the one that you have to play. It's a werewolf horror. It's red, costs 3 to play. It's a 2/3 creature. Pay 3 plus 2 red to transform this creature. It becomes an Eldrazi werewolf. Whenever this creature attacks, add 2 colorless mana at the beginning of your next mana phase this turn. That's severely weird. Severely weird. But I don't think that's what we're looking for. There's Emrakul Aeon's Torn, Emrakul the Promised End, Emrakul the World Arrow, Emrakul's Evangel, Emrakul's Hatcher, Emrakul's Messenger, Hand of Emrakul, Vestige of Emrakul. That one costs 4. Is that what I'm looking for? Is this what we're looking for? The Vestige of Emrakul? This card has no color, but it does have trample. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what it is we're looking for. Something to keep in mind, though, and I'll make a note of this. I'm just going to make a note of it over here because I don't know what else to do. Actually, maybe for spells? Whatever, it doesn't matter. So here's what we're going to do. There are different rarities of these cards. There is... Oh, PC says Pied Piper is the keyword. Okay, hold on, let me do that. Pied Piper. Let me look at that. Does not return any result. How about just Piper? Discordant Piper, Elvish Piper, Howljack Piper, Piper the Swarm, Pied Right, Sloppy, Tantrum, Prismatic. I don't see it in here. I'm not sure what card it is that you're thinking of, but they're not showing it. I try Pied. Pied. Nope, nothing for Pied. I don't know what creature it is that you're looking for. If you can, like, send it to me, though, I'll see if I can pull it up. Anyway, though, I gotta get back to this. So, when it does come to, like, summoning an Eldrazi, there is something to keep in mind. There are different rarities of cards. There are common cards, uncommon cards, rare cards. Above rare, I believe, is legendary, I think. No, wait, hold on. Black, silver, gold. I think the next one up is actually mythic. And then above mythic is mythic rare. So, here's the thing about these. Common is just going to be common. We understand common. Common are things you can find anywhere. Common cards are generally not named. They're going to be soldiers or clerics or elves or goblins or whatever. And so commons are going to be things that you can pick up anytime you want. So you can get these on level up. So acquired on level up. Super simple. Now, uncommons. These are things that you are not allowed to pick. You can't just pick these and say, well, I saw one of these things in my history and I remembered it and now I feel like I can actually summon it. Uncommons are something that you will acquire on defeat. So, an uncommon is something that I might throw at you if the environment calls for it. So, if there was like an uncommon bear of some kind, whatever that happens to be. It's not grizzly bears, because grizzly bears is going to be a common card. Just an uncommon one. Maybe you're traveling, maybe it's during a roadside encounter, whatever it happens to be, this is where you will be able to acquire this, because once you see it, you can summon it. And this is going to fall onto the players a lot, because it'll come down to the players to keep track, to keep like a little piece of notepad paper there, to write down the things that they've seen that they might want to summon later. And this does not necessarily have to be restricted to Magic the Gathering cards. I have developed this system to translate Magic the Gathering cards. But technically speaking, we can turn anything into an echo. And this is going to be where Planeswalkers are going to be really, really powerful. Like I said before, Planeswalkers are not going to shine in their power. They're going to shine in their versatility. I haven't gotten to artifacts yet. But technically speaking, you can create anything as an echo. Now, creating a creature is going to be a much weaker creature. Creating artifacts, well, we haven't gotten to artifacts yet, but trust me, that's coming. And PCM Credit says the Elvish Piper. I think we have one of those. We do. Here we go. The Elvish Piper. Okay. The Elvish Piper is a 1/1 creature that costs 4 to play. You pay 1 and you tap, and it says you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. And this is a fantastic example. So this is where things are going to be a little bit complicated, and this is where the game is going to kind of fall apart, but also why a GM exists. Because this card could be brutally overpowered. And I'm thankful that you brought it up so that we can discuss it now instead of later. With a card like this, it could allow you to summon anything, including, as you pointed out, Emrakul. And here's where we're going to get into a little bit of metagaming, a little bit of narrative gaming, and a little bit of game mastery. So let's go ahead and run through this scenario, because the uncommon isn't necessarily acquired on defeat, as it's acquired on sight. And the same thing is going to be true for these. Pretty much all of them are going to be acquired on sight. It is true that since you've seen it, you can maybe summon it. And perhaps we need to put a limit on this. Perhaps the limit is you need to spend a certain amount of time seeing something or studying it in some way. So that it's not just a glance at something and suddenly you know how to create it. You need to have a certain amount of experience with it. Now, killing it may not be the best way to do that, because obviously if it's Emrakul, you are not killing Emrakul. And I want to bring something up here. I'm going to come over here to creatures because I need to find, let's see, Bestiary G. I need to find a goblin. G-I-G-O-L-G-N. Goblin, here we go. Here's a goblin. Goblins, right here. So, a goblin warrior, level 1. It has a CR rating of 1/3. It only has 16 AC. It's got 6 hit points. So, it's not very good. Speed is 30 feet. It's got a short sword +2 that deals 1d4. Just 1d4 because it has no strength bonus. But this goblin, with its sword, does 1d4 damage. And even with a bow, it does 1d4 damage. So either way, it's doing 1d4 damage. Our goblin is doing 1d1 damage. Just to go back to it. Okay? Here's our Raging Goblin. Offense. We look at the melee attack and damage. It's got an attack bonus of +12. It does 1d1. Just using the attack alone, we can pretty effectively say that the Raging Goblin is 1/4 of an actual goblin. Now, is that specifically true? No, it's not. And we have to be a little forgiving here with the numbers because nothing is ever going to line up perfectly. But in terms of damage, it's equivalent to 1/4 of an actual real golem. Or not golem, goblin. Let's keep that in mind and come back here to Emrakul. Emrakul the Aeon's Torrent is an actual Eldrazi. That means that if you wanted to summon The echo of Emrakul Aeon's Torn, this is going to be approximately 1/4 of the actual Emrakul of the Aeon's Torn. That means that the actual Emrakul could be 4 times bigger, 4 times stronger, 4 times the hit points. I mean, this Echo, already has 80 hit points. And that's because it costs, I believe it is 10 to play, so it's got to be a level 10 creature. Minimum. All of these stats would be essentially 1/4. So you're talking about a creature that has 100 strength, 100 dexterity, 100 constitution. I mean, do you get the idea? The thing about the Eldrazi is that they are Lovecraftian gods that literally unravel reality wherever they step. And so before you could even get your Elvish Piper to bring out an Eldrazi, you would first have to see the Eldrazi, which is a terrifying moment on its own. Then you would have to survive the Eldrazi. And that's kind of the thing, is that you're not gonna fight a full-on Eldrazi. Not unless you are a bunch of like level 20 planeswalkers who are looking for a good time. I would never take this away from you. I would never do that. I would absolutely allow the Elvish Piper to use its ability to summon Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. But at the same time, in order to do so, you would first have to experience Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. And that is the Magic the Gathering version of going to fight the Tarask. Because no good GM would ever throw a Tarask into a campaign without a damn good reason. The Tarask, if you're unfamiliar, let me see if I can pull it up here, because I should be able to. This is a legendary creature across all tabletop gaming, for a few very specific reasons. Want T-E. T-E-R? Where are you? No, T-A. I always get that wrong. Here we go, Tarask. This immense reptilian beast towers over the surroundings like a dinosaur, all teeth and horns and claws and a thrashing spiked tail. You can see a very small picture of it right there. It's legendary. It is a CR25. In a game with a level cap, soft cap mind you, but a level cap of 20. So why are you here? Just to get into like the basic things. This thing has an AC of 40. Good luck. It has 7 initiative. It can see in low light. It's got scent and perception of 43. But here's the thing. Frightful Presence. It has a Frightful Presence aura at 300 feet with a DC of 27. And before we get into things, is that listed down here? Frightful Presence? Frightful Presence? No, it's not. So, okay, hold on a second. Let me duplicate this tab because I don't want to lose it. In Firefox. There it is. Okay. Let's see. Monster abilities. Universal monster rules. Amphibious, attach, bleed, channel, blah, 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 blah. Frightful Presence. Engulf, entrap. Fear, flight, Formian, fortification. Frightful Presence. Here we go. This special quality makes the creature's very presence unsettling to foes. Activating this ability is a free action that is usually part of an attack or a charge. Opponents within range who witness the action may become frightened or shaken. The range is usually 30 feet and the duration... Okay, it's usually 30 feet. The Tarrasque is 300 feet. Okay? 300 feet. The duration is usually 5d6 rounds. This ability affects only opponents with fewer hit dice than the creature. It's a CR 25. You have very much less hit dice than it does. An opponent can resist the effects with a successful will save. An opponent that succeeds the saving throw is immune to the same frightful presence for 24 hours. However, on a failed save, the opponent is shaken or panicked if it has 4 hit dice or fewer. Frightful presence is a mind-affecting fear effect. Now, mind you, by the time you're level 20, you probably have ways to deal with this. You probably have a cleric who's got some kind of spell that can guard your minds against fear effects. But if you don't, you're not getting anywhere near this thing. And let's just look at what this thing does. It has a damage resistance of 15 that's only penetrable by epic. Hold on, I've never heard of that. I've heard of silver for werewolves. I've heard of cold iron for golems. What exactly is epic? Epic is just epic. As in, it has a damage reduction of 15 and you're not getting through it. Period. There is no way around it. There is nothing you can do about it. Only by the grace of God itself could you get through this damage resistance. It is immune to ability damage, acid, bleeding, disease, energy drain, fire, mind-affecting effects, paralysis, permanent wounds and petrification, poison, and polymorph. And for everything else, it has a spell resistance of 36. Oh, and by the way, it has a spell resistance of 36. However, the carapace down here, just to point this out, deflect cones, lines, rays, and magic missile spells, rendering the Tarrasque immune to any such effects, along with a 30% chance of a deflected effect reflecting full force back at the caster. It also has regeneration. No form of attack can suppress its regeneration. You can't stop it. It regenerates even if it is disintegrated or slain by any death effect you somehow manage to pull off. If it fails a save against an effect that would kill it instantly, it rises from death 3 rounds later. 3 rounds. 18 seconds. With 1 hit point if no further damage is inflicted upon its remains. It can be banished or otherwise transported as a means to save a region, but the method to truly kill it has yet to be discovered. As it stands, the only way to truly, definitively kill a Tarrasque is through divine intervention. You either use a wish or a miracle spell, and you ask God to kill it for you. This thing is famous for a reason. It is the kind of thing that is literally put into the game just to either test or kill your players. And you're not going to find one unless you go looking for it. The same thing is going to be true of the Eldrazi. There is absolutely no reason why I or any other game master should ever be putting an Eldrazi into the game. And so it is one of those things where, technically speaking, you are good to bring it up. The Pied Piper with Emrakul. However, it should, and I have to emphasize should never happen. there is no reason why you should ever even have Emrakul in your spell list to begin with, because that encounter should just never happen. And Knight is in. Hello, Knight. It's good to see you. Knight says the meme is that Emrakul's Achilles heel is 15 squirrels. Yes, I agree, and I can see how that happens, because it only has 15 toughness. Technically, Squirrel Girl is more powerful than any of the Eldrazi. PC Corn said before that, though, it would make sense. Commons would be easy to understand and require a little more than a glance, whereas a Mythic would be really hard to replicate. And I agree. And perhaps I should actually use that as a scale. Perhaps Commons you can already pick up just like instantly. Uncommons should require minutes of study. So what if we rolled with that, okay? What if we do that? So, what if we just said that for these spells, these require no study. For uncommons, what if we said it was 1 minute of study? And I can make that bigger. I could go up by ones, maybe. Maybe? So for rares, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, but I don't think so. What if we did this? 1 minute of study, 5 minutes of study, 10 minutes of study, and 20 minutes of study. Okay, that means that not only would you have to go looking for you would have to go looking for an Eldrazi in the first place and then survive 20 minutes around it to study it. There you go. Let's see. PC Unicorn says it was more of an extreme example. There's lots of really strong creatures that it can be used with. And I agree. I agree with you that the Elvish Piper is a very, very strong card with some very, very considerable implications. It's also one of those cards that I can rule on by GM Fiat. And I will have to do this with a lot of cards with this game, because there's going to be a lot of very powerful combinations that are admitted by the Magic the Gathering community to be absolutely broken. And people play them because they are absolutely broken, with the Elvish Piper being a great example, being able to summon a 15/15 on turn 3 to 5. Depending on, what creatures and what lands you get out. So, I totally get you there. Peacekeeper says rare, I would say a day. I'm not sure. And the reason why I say that is because let's take a look at some rare creatures. Advanced search, I want types to be creatures. And rarity. Where is the rarity? Here we go. I want them to be rare. So add that. Come on. There we go. Search. And I want to take a look at rare creatures and see, would you really need a day to study them? If this ever catches up. In the meantime, PCOR says implying that it would need to be friendly to you to do so. Unexpected server error. Would you stop? Would you just do what I tell you to do? Knight says, actively trying to find an Eldrazi is kind of like actively trying to find Cthulhu. And yeah, that is one of the things that I was trying to get at earlier. I don't know if you've been listening in or not, but as I pointed out, when we look at our creatures here, and I made a Raging Goblin. See, there it is, Raging Goblin. He's adorable. He only does 1d1 damage. An actual goblin with an actual goblin sword does 1d4 damage. If our Raging Goblin here is only like 1/4 of an actual goblin, then Emrakul the Aeon's Torn should be only 1/4 of the full Emrakul. Which is to say, good God. That means that the actual Emrakul would be doing like 1d60 damage. 1d60 plus 28. And like, how many ways can we expand this? If I were to just multiply everything, that would give Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, the actual Emrakul, somewhere in the area of, let's see, 17 times 4 is going to be 34, 78? 78 armor class. 8 times 4 is 32, so 320 hit points. A 1d60 plus 28 attack. 100 in every stat. Yeah, it's God. It's a literal god. As a matter of fact, it's kind of stronger than some of the actual gods that we have in the game. So, I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? Alright, let's try this one more time. Creatures. And rarity. Rare. Search for it. Please work. Thank you. The first thing is lifetime pass holder from the Unfinity. I hate the Undex. I hate that we are populated with these things. There's a question mark. Mystery Booster 2. I'm not doing that. Here we go. So, Atchik the Emerald Radian. Here's a legendary creature. It's an insect druid. Sure, let's look at that. So, it's a legendary creature, insect druid, and here's the thing. When we compare this to something like this, I want to make a very big distinction. This thing right here is from the Lord of the Rings. Oh, actually, I didn't even notice that. It's from the Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth. This card is banned anyway. It's not even allowed. It's rare. So, this is hard. Like I said, the big difference between like the commons, the uncommons, and the rares is that when you're talking about the common creatures, you're generally not talking about people with names. You are talking about the masses. You're talking about beasts or soldiers or raiders, mercenaries, whatever they happen to be. It's not until you get into the uncommons, some of the uncommons, and then the rares that you begin seeing a lot more names. Like Atchik here. Atchik is a name. So Atchik, the Emerald Radian, is a named person, which means you would actually have to meet this person in order to summon an echo of them. This is not just some random person that you're going to meet going down the road. You would actually have to meet them. At which point, once you did, whether they knew that you were a planeswalker or not, you would have the chance to study them, and if you did, maybe you decided to get an invite to a dinner, okay? Or you happen to be, because this person is an insect druid, you're in their forest. You parlay with them and you spend, say, the evening with them. And during that evening, you spend your time studying them. And so, after the evening is done, when you depart, when you part ways, you leave, Now you can add this unique individual to your spell list, either for casting now or for casting later. And that's how that's going to work. You would need to study them, and like we put down here for the spells, for rare, 5 minutes of study seems to be not too bad. At the same time, if you ran into this person, they were trying to kill you, well, I mean, that could be bad. That might make 5 minutes of studying really hard. Now, you did mention post-mortem studying. That can also work. Remember that these echoes never quite live up to the actual original, and so studying them post-mortem versus studying them just, sitting across the table, either way, you will never see the full capabilities of them. And from a thematic perspective, from a flavor perspective, from a narrative perspective, it all fits together. So I think that'll be good. Knight says, the Elvish Piper does have other printings. Let me take a look. Printed? I'm not seeing it. All I see here is the expansion, The Lord of the Rings, but I might be looking in the wrong place. Sets and legality? Oh, wait, here we go. Yep, you are absolutely right, Knight. Elvish Piper, it's right here. 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, Magic 2010, Urza's Destiny, Masters 25. Okay, never mind. Still, specifically, this edition is illegal. This card is. But that just means that you pick a different one. So yeah, I pick a different one. This is the 8th edition version, which has better artwork in my opinion anyway. But yeah, there you go. Done. Okay. Good job, Knight. Good job. You caught that one. So yeah, it's still in there. But as I've already established, it is limited by what you're allowed to play. What you're allowed to play is limited by your experiences, and what your experiences are limited by me. So it is my job as the GM to kind of manage what you encounter and to lightly balance the game by simply nudging things this way and that way. Now, again, I have to point out that does that make this impossible? No, it does not. As Knight said earlier, somewhere in there, there it is. Actively trying to find an Eldrazi is kind of like actively trying to find Cthulhu. And you're right about that. But nowhere in the rules did it say you are not allowed to go looking for Cthulhu. I am not a railroading kind of GM. I am a sandbox GM. I'm an improviser. If you want to go looking for Cthulhu, I will make a path for you to follow so you can go looking for Cthulhu. I cannot guarantee that there will be an actual Cthulhu at the end of it, because I don't know that I have stats for Cthulhu. I might. Let me take a quick look over here. Do I have statistics for a Cthulhu? Unique monsters? Maybe? CR10, CR11. I think I just need to go down to the bottom of the list here. Oh, that's under CR1. CR9. Never mind. This doesn't go up nearly high enough. How about this? CR greater than 20. What do we got in here? This does include everything that is... Wait, hold on. I've got it. CR30. Cthulhu. I've got one. I have got one. Let's take a look. The Great Old One Cthulhu. CR30. He is a chaotic evil colossal aberration. The aura is an Unspeakable presence. It's... What even is that? Tell me you define it later. Unspeakable presence. Failing a DC 40 will save against Cthulhu's unspeakable presence causes the victim to immediately die of fright. This is a death and fear effect. If a creature is immune to the fear effect fails to save against Cthulhu, it is staggered for 1d6 rounds instead of killed. It is charisma based. I mean, let's just take a look at the things that we've got here. I'm not even going to go through the stats. Let's just take a look at the special abilities. Cleaving Claws. It can target all creatures in a 10-foot square, make one attack roll. Any creature in the area whose AC is equal to or lower the result takes damage from the claw. Dreams of Madness. When Cthulhu uses his Nightmare spell-like ability on a creature with one or more ranks in Craft or Perform, he also afflicts the creature with maddening dreams. In addition to the effect of Nightmare, the target must succeed a DC 40 will save or contract a random insanity. It has greater starflight, which means he can fly through space. He's immortal. Period. And he's non-Euclidean. Cthulhu does not exist wholly in the physical world, and space and time strain against his presence. This affords him a deflection bonus to his AC and racial bonus on reflexes equal to his charisma modifier. His apparent and actual positions are never quite the same, granting him a 50% mischance against all attacks. He's like a displacer beast. He has natural concealment. True Seeing can defeat the mischance, but any creature that looks directly upon Cthulhu while under the effects of True Seeing must succeed a will save or be afflicted by a random insanity. The point being, if you want to go looking for it, I'm not going to stop you from going looking for it. And yes, if you dare deign upon Cthulhu and study him for 20 minutes, I am inclined to allow you to summon an Echo of Cthulhu, if you survive. Okay? This is the high reward part of the high risk. And I am all about risk and reward. Small risks should give you small rewards. Large risks should give large rewards. If you want to put forth the effort, I believe you should be rewarded for it. PC Unicorn says, during the interaction, that's fascinating. I think I can make an echo of you now, but I'm a perfectionist. Mind if I dissect you so I can get it absolutely right? Roll for diplomacy, I guess. Knight says, right, you can look for Cthulhu. That's a life choice you've certainly made. Look, I've not played a whole lot of Call of Cthulhu, but there are people out there that do play it, and when you play Call of Cthulhu, there are people who do go looking for Cthulhu himself. I'm not saying it's the smartest idea, I'm just saying you can do it. PC Card says, that is a good thought. What if you observe a fight from afar or observe in stealth? Well, that's interesting, because if you are trying to do that, you're right. You could potentially avoid an entire fight. But also consider, if you're trying to observe, say, an Eldrazi, if we come down here to Emrakul, and I'm just going to pick Emrakul Aeon's Torm because that's the one that I used before. First off, Emrakul comes with flying. I thought it came with Annihilator too. Does he not? Hold on. Oh, yep, he does. It's right there. Flying, protection from spells that are one or more colors, and Annihilator 6. Annihilator 6 is basically his version of just unraveling reality where he goes. because, again, he doesn't belong within the planes. Now, when you play the card, essentially he's going to destroy anything like him on the field. So he's an echo, he's going to destroy other echoes. So if you've got 6 goblins on the field, guess what? You no longer have 6 goblins on the field. If you are using an echo for like a weapon, like say the Viridian Longbow, because I can think of that one quickly. You've summoned a Viridian Longbow and you can shoot the Viridian Longbow. Okay, great, you've got yourself a bow. Emrakul Aeon's Torn shows up and poof, there goes your bow. It's gone. Sorry. The actual Emrakul is not going to be destroying echoes. The actual Emrakul will be unraveling reality itself. The idea of observing Emrakul from afar is going to be dependent on you actually surviving long enough in just the presence of Emrakul to do it. Again, mythic rare, we're talking 20 minutes. That is 200 rounds that you would have to spend within Emrakul's presence, studying it to summon it. As a player, that should be an absolutely terrifying prospect, because if we just assume that everything is 1/4 what the actual Emrakul is, then we can assume that the Annihilator 6 is also 1/4. So not only would the actual Emrakul have Annihilator 24, but it would not be restricted to just echoes. Meaning that everywhere it goes, I wonder if I can pull something up real quick. Give me just a second here. Give me just a second, because there's something here that I'm thinking of, but I gotta go find it. It's a video, and I don't usually do the whole video thing, but I'm gonna try this time. And it's gonna be from the anime series, The Big O. Has anybody else seen The Big O? It was a short-lived anime. It's only 1 season. And the ending of Big O is kinda... No, actually, I think it was 2... Was it 2 seasons? I'm not sure now. Either way, it was weird. Is it here? Is it this one? No, that's not it. Can I even find it? Because this will explain things if I can get to it. Ah, here it is, I think. Okay, pause, because I don't want to have the audio on it. So, I'm going to spoil things a little bit here, but trust me, with me spoiling things, it is not going to make a damn bit more sense to you. Half of the people who have watched Big O still do not understand the ending. But at the ending, they find out that literally all the world's a stage. And make that quiet again. One of the giant robots shows up and begins literally clearing the stage. I can't really scroll this up anymore, but that's okay. You can see most of the screen. And as the big robot walks through, which I guess its name is Big Venus, you can see that it simply begins undoing the entire environment around it. Literally, every place that it steps, the environment just disappears. Every step the land disappears. It walks by this giant robot, touches it, robot's gone. That's it. This is an Eldrazi in action. Its very existence is simply unmaking the land. And so when you're looking for the when you're looking for an Eldrazi and trying to study it, bear in mind that's what you have to survive. Now, what is the range on that? I have no idea. I would have to actually sit down and make an Eldrazi first. And I find the idea of making one just terrifying on its own, because I don't know if I would overdo it or underdo it. The point is, though, that even just trying to observe it from afar would run the risk of just ceasing to exist because you happen to be too close to it. Knight says, much like Cthulhu, the Eldrazi do not actually exist or wholly exist in the physical space. They exist in the blind eternities, and Emrakul does have a lot to do with madness. Yes, I believe that. I don't know everything about them, but I do know that they live in the blind eternities. They are essentially just Lovecraftian horrors, and that's why they twist everything they get near. But again, much like Cthulhu, if you wanted to go looking for it, I won't stop you. So, that is a very, very long tangent. I'm out of time now. But it's fine. It was very productive. It was a productive tangent. So we've got our way here to acquire new spells, which is great. I was going to get into Color Affinity, but I guess that'll have to wait until next time. So we have a way for us to acquire our new spells. We have some things that are now down on paper. You are no longer limited in the number of spells you can cast per turn, so long as the mana supports it. And remember that the mana is going to refill every turn, just like untapping your lands would every turn. That's your limit for how many spells you can cast per turn. And then, of course, the number of spells you can cast per day. At level 1, you only get 3. Your deck is 3 cards. So you better use them well. We've established that the number of creatures you can have at any one time is equal to your level. That'll help keep the number down a little bit. It does still mean that once you hit level 10, you're going to have a lot. And that is potentially a problem. And it is potentially a problem that actually we already have kind of a solution for. Because if I come down here to a summoner, there is a summoner that is a little bit different. So, generally speaking, your typical summoner is capable of using summon monster like this, but they generally use their Eidolon. But if we come down here to the archetypes, there is the... which one was it? Broodnut? No. Master Summoner? No, what is it? Let's see, Eidolon... I think it is the Master Summoner. They get a Lesser Summoner. Its level is halved. Summoning Mastery. They can summon Monster 1. Its spell-like ability. Number of times equal per day. Ah, here we go. Yes, it was the Master Summoner. So this is what the actual rules say. It says hordes of summon monsters. The Broodmaster and Master Summoner archetypes can potentially have 5, 10, or even more summoned creatures in play. This is a deliberate feature of these archetypes and means that the summoner can potentially be a strong candidate for a solo adventure by one player. However, in the hands of an inexperienced or moderately experienced player, dealing with all those creatures in combat can take a long time, forcing other players to wait extended periods between their turns in the initiative. It is strongly recommended that GMs only allow these archetypes for experienced players or decide on a way to speed up the summoner's turn, such as allowing other players to control some of the summoned monsters. This is something that I have kept in mind since I started this one because I knew this would be an issue. We could potentially have battles with tens or dozens of tokens on the field. Now, I am actually decent at running mass combat. Other GMs might struggle with that. I've done it before, and I know how to make it work. I've struggled with it too, but I've learned. I do believe this will work. However, because of the way that the Planeswalkers are going to work, I would not recommend it for everyone. I would also never try to dissuade somebody from doing it if they wanted to, but depending on the player, I might not tell them to take it. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. And still, capping it to the number of creatures equal to your level, I think that'll be a good start. That way we don't have 60 tokens on the field at level 20. It's just 20 tokens on the field, which is severe enough. But okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a break there. When we get back here next time, I want to go back to the actual Planeswalkers. I want to discuss color identity because it's going to be important. It is not going to be all limiting, but it is going to become much more important. So we'll discuss color identity. I want to get into actual planeswalking, and then we still need to go through artifacts and make rules for those because they're going to have special rules all their own. So we can look forward to that next time. But if you want to hear about color identity, planeswalking, and artifacts, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, that way you get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who's also into Magic the Gathering, Pathfinder, tabletop gaming in general, then share this video with them. If you like what we're doing here, leave a like in the video. If you want to leave a comment down below, you can do that too. I do respond to comments, believe it or not. However, instead of leaving a comment down below, I would really super appreciate it if you would just join us on the Discord. You can join us on the Discord, and when you do, I would say come to the behind the screen channel. Let me know who you are, what you want to play, and your availability so that I can start putting groups together, because as soon as I have a group of players together who can all line up, I will get that game started. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm actually really good at what I do, and I think it's going to be a ton of fun. So, I hope to see you there. I hope I can get a group to play together with, and other than that, I guess I'll see you next week. So, thank you all for coming out today. It was good to see everybody, and until the next time, take care.